Hey everybody, my name is Jared and I am a Master Mason in the state of Mississippi in the United States of America, and today I'm showing off my support for the guys over at the Masonic Roundtable. Got their lapel pin on today, which was done up by and can be purchased through none other than Edgar over at Masonic Revival. So we last talked about the staircase lecture or second section lecture of the Fellowcraft degree, and now we're going to piece this up into little bits that we can digest a little more easily. So starting at the beginning, let's go with: it now becomes my duty to explain to you the variety of objects which will attract your attention on your passage to the middle chamber, and to inform you that Freemasonry is considered under two denominations, Operative and Speculative. By Operative Masonry, we allude to a proper application of the useful rules of architecture, whence a structure will derive figure, strength, and beauty, and whence will result a due proportion and a just correspondence in all its parts. By Speculative Masonry, we may learn to subdue the passions, act upon the square, keep a tongue of good report, maintain secrecy, and practice charity. So the first thing that sort of catches my attention about this lecture is this is something I would have expected for us to really explain to a candidate, somebody who just turned in the petition and is interested in becoming a Freemason. But here we are halfway through the Fellowcraft degree, and we're just now explaining to this man that Freemasonry is considered under two denominations, Operative and Speculative. So this is the first time where we, in ritual, make a purposeful separation between the operative craft of stonemasonry and the speculative craft of Freemasonry. And in here we get a couple definitions to explain to this man what the differences between the two are. Now, in here we're going to find some very specific words that are being used, and I was taught by one of my instructors, past Grand Master of the state of Mississippi, Fred Bean, that the words that are used in Masonry are there for a purpose. And he makes the argument that you cannot replace a single word without changing the meaning or the purpose behind the message that's being delivered. I'm not sure I fall 100% in line with that strict regimen of what he's suggesting there, but I do certainly agree that there is a purposeful intent behind the words that have been selected. So let's take a quick look at this. Here in Operative Masonry, you might think that we're simply informing him of what Operative Masonry is and suggesting that because that's not what we do anymore, something we'll talk a little bit more about in a different section of this lecture, that there might not be anything to learn here, that is merely a definition. But I think there actually is something to learn here, because it says we allude to a proper application of the useful rules of architecture. So first here is proper application. We're learning that for whatever we're about to talk about next, you have to apply these things properly to get the results that we're going to mention. The results being that the structure will derive figure, strength, and beauty, and in that result there will be a due proportion and a just correspondence in all its parts. So here we just told this man that if you want to build a perfect building, we can give you all the tools that you possibly could want, but if you don't follow a proper application of the rules of architecture, you're not going to get the intended results. So I think it's a very pertinent part of this lecture, describing what Operative Masonry is, and we can certainly look at that sentence and consider it in a speculative way and understand how to apply it to our lives. So let's move forward to Speculative Masonry, and there's a very key word inside of here. The word is may. It says we may learn to subdue the passions, act upon the square, keep a tongue of good report, maintain secrecy, and practice charity. Freemasonry cannot make you do those things. Just as we were talking about in Operative Masonry, that if you follow the proper application of the useful rules, then you're guaranteed you're going to get these results. But here we're being told that in speculative masonry, we're not going to guarantee you the results. We're guaranteeing you the tools and the instruction. But whether or not you can actually subdue your passions is up to you. You may do that if you use the tools properly, etc. Talking about acting upon the square, keeping a tongue of good report, etc. So now that we're specifically talking about speculative masonry, let's delve into a couple things here. May learn to subdue the passions. So this kind of has several meanings as far as I'm concerned. Most often you hear people talk about it in the sense of emotion, as if it were to say subdue the emotions. So whether or not you have a temperament that is quick to anger, and you have to learn to subdue that. But I don't think it's wholly centered on that. I think that it refers to passions in a sense of also the things that we are passionate about. So what is going to keep my attention and take my time? Can I subdue my passions and make sure I'm giving my time properly to the service of a distressed worthy brother, my family, and then the craft? And your job somewhere in there too would probably be useful. The next thing here is act upon the square, which we have talked about before, and we will talk more about the square later, so please allow me to gloss over it at this point. The key thing here is we're still using that word may. We may learn to subdue the passions, comma, act upon the square. So we may do it. We have to learn how and actually apply it. Keep a tongue of good report, I think, is a fairly easy to understand concept, but just to make sure that we're on the same page about this, when you turn in a petition to a Masonic lodge, if everything goes as the way it is supposed to go here in Mississippi, somebody looks at that in the lodge and says, hey, I know this guy. Yeah, okay, when he was a kid he had a couple, a little bit of trouble, but nothing serious, and just a kid, and now he's a great guy, takes care of his family, has a good stable job, and whatever else the case may be. That is a tongue of good report. He's speaking well of you. So Freemasonry can help us by understanding the importance of that and how to live our lives in such a way that even when we're not in the room, even if nobody else in the room knows us and somebody's just trying to save face and say nice things, that if the topic of you comes up, there will be nothing but a tongue of good report. Next we have maintain secrecy. And heaven's sakes, if we couldn't probably take this one little section, these two words, maintain secrecy, and break them out into several different videos, and we probably will at one point. But for now, what we're learning is the value of being told, hey, I am entrusting you with this piece of information. I expect that you're not going to tell anybody. And then you don't take that information and go tell it to somebody else in confidence or any other way, shape, or form. You simply maintain secrecy. So if you're curious about these videos and maintaining secrecy, I'll refer you back to this playlist and you can look up where I've addressed that before. And last is to practice charity. We've also had discussions before about what charity really means and what all it can involve, and I think that we really need to take into account all the different meanings of it. I do agree that the majority of the intent behind the idea of Masonic charity is that of a brotherly love, a love type of charity. But I do believe that there is also a certain amount of taking care of your brother type of charity. So what I really want to emphasize here is that Freemasonry was never set up to be a charitable organization. That wasn't the point. Freemasonry was not established to be a money gathering and money dispensing vehicle to be able to take care of the poor, etc., for all of mankind. However, Freemasonry does embody those ideals of people who want to take care of their fellow man. And so what it is an organization of charitable men. So here we're being told we need to practice charity. If you take the time to notice, each one of these other points here is to the individual, that we may learn to subdue our passions. We may act upon the square, keep a tongue of good report, maintain secrecy, and that we may practice charity. Not that we're going to set up a worldwide organization to be able to solve all of the charitable needs in the world, but that we individually will practice charity. So that's where we're going to leave it for this time. Come back and join me while we continue delving into all of the different aspects of the second section lecture or staircase lecture of the Fellowcraft degree. If you have something else you'd like to add to this discussion, please don't forget to leave it down in the comments below. We have people that watch these videos as soon as they come out and people that don't find them for years to come, and many of them leave comments about how they've read other comments and taken so much away. So please make sure you leave your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.